Have you ever wondered why, after moments of instant gratification, a strange sense of emptiness washes over you? Why, instead of the promised fulfillment, what remains is an inexplicable fatigue, a mental fog that seems to drain your vitality. There's a hidden truth that modern society deliberately ignores. Your sexual energy isn't just a biological urge, it's the primordial force that moves entire universes, the same energy that builds empires, generates immortal works of art, and awakens dormant powers within the human soul. Napoleon Hill, in his profound studies on success, discovered that history's most accomplished men shared a common secret. They had learned to transmute their sexual energy into creative power, personal magnetism, and the power of achievement. It's no coincidence that great geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla, Isaac Newton, and Mahatma Gandhi intuitively understood that there's a direct connection between the preservation of vital essence and the awakening of extraordinary capabilities. But we live in an era that teaches us the exact opposite. We've been conditioned to believe that immediate pleasure is synonymous with freedom, that the constant release of sexual energy is natural and healthy. The entertainment industry, pornography, the culture of instant gratification, all conspire to keep us trapped in vicious cycles of energy dissipation, where our life force slips away like water through our fingers, leaving us weaker, more demotivated, and further from our true essence. Semen retention, known in ancient traditions as brahmacharya, isn't just a practice of self-control, it's a sacred alchemy that transforms lead into gold, converting primal urges into transcendent power. When a man understands that each drop of his essence contains not only reproductive potential, but concentrated life force, he awakens to a reality that most will never experience: the sensation of unlimited energy coursing through his veins, mental clarity sharp as a razor, a magnetic presence that attracts opportunities and people, and willpower capable of moving mountains. Imagine for a moment the energy you expend in pursuit of instant sexual gratification, not just the physical energy of the act itself, but all the mental energy that precedes and follows those moments, the obsessive fantasies, the compulsive search for stimulation, the feelings of guilt and emptiness that follow, the fatigue that seems to drain your motivation for important projects. Now imagine if all that energy, that precious life force, were redirected toward your most ambitious dreams, your most significant projects, your deepest evolution. The first resistance your mind will offer to this idea will be the fear of repression. But this isn't natural, your conditioned mind will whisper. Repressing sexual urges can cause psychological problems, and it will be partially correct if we're talking about repression, but we aren't. We're talking about conscious transmutation, inner alchemy, transforming the energy instead of denying it. The difference between repression and transmutation is the same that exists between trying to contain a river with a dam and channeling its waters to generate electricity. In the first case, the pressure builds until the structure gives way. In the second, the natural force is honored and redirected to a higher purpose. When you practice conscious retention, you're not denying your sexual nature, you're elevating it, refining it, transforming it into fuel for extraordinary achievements. Eastern traditions have recognized for millennia that semen is not just bodily fluid, but ojas, the vital essence that, when preserved and refined through spiritual practices, transforms into teshas, the spiritual radiance that emanates from great masters. Modern science, though reluctant to admit it, has begun to discover that semen contains unique elements, hormones, proteins, minerals, and substances that, when reabsorbed by the body, contribute to vitality, mental clarity, and overall well-being. But beyond the physical dimension, there's an energetic reality that transcends what scientific instruments can measure. When you retain your vital essence, something mysterious and powerful begins to happen on subtle levels of existence. Your aura expands, your presence becomes magnetic, your voice acquires natural authority, your eyes radiate an intensity that people feel even without understanding. You become a magnet for opportunities, for influential people, for situations that accelerate your growth and success. Napoleon Hill observed that men who practiced sexual transmutation developed what he called a sixth sense, a sharpened intuition, an ability to perceive opportunities invisible to others, a personal magnetism that opened seemingly closed doors. They became natural leaders, not because they sought leadership, but because their refined energy naturally attracted followers. The journey of sexual transmutation is fundamentally a journey of self-mastery, and self-mastery doesn't mean rigid control or painful repression, it means true freedom. The person who is a slave to their impulses is not free, they are a puppet of unconscious forces that manipulate them. But the one who can feel the impulse, recognize it, honor it, and consciously redirect it, that person has discovered the secret of real power. Think of an ancient warrior preparing for a decisive battle. He doesn't dissipate his energy in trivial pleasures on the eve of combat. He conserves it, concentrates it, transforms it into strength for the crucial moment. His whole life is this battle, the battle for his dreams, for his evolution, for leaving a significant mark on the world. Every moment of instant gratification is energy you choose not to have available for this greater battle. Resistance to the practice of retention will reveal aspects of your psyche that you may never have confronted. Compulsions, emotional voids, patterns of escaping reality, all of this will come to the surface when the habitual escape mechanism through sexual release is removed. And this is precisely what makes the practice so transformative. You will be forced to confront and integrate aspects of yourself that remained hidden in the shadows. Many men use compulsive masturbation as a way to avoid uncomfortable feelings, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, frustration. It's an emotional anesthetic disguised as pleasure. When you remove that anesthetic, you may initially feel discomfort, but it's the discomfort of someone finally waking up from a lethargic dream into the vibrant reality of conscious living. The retained and transmuted sexual energy manifests in surprising ways. Your ability to concentrate multiplies exponentially. Projects that once seemed overwhelmingly difficult become exciting challenges. Your creativity explodes like a long-dormant volcano. Ideas flow with an abundance you may never have experienced. Your physical stamina increases. Your sleep becomes more restorative, your digestion improves, your skin takes on a natural glow, but the deepest transformations occur on the subtle levels of consciousness. You develop a presence that people feel immediately. Your voice carries a natural authority, your movements flow with magnetic grace, your eyes radiate a mesmerizing intensity. You become someone people naturally respect and seek out as a leader, advisor, mentor. The temptation to abandon the practice will be constant, especially in the first days and weeks. Your mind will create 1,000 elaborate justifications for why you should bend the rules, why just this once won't make a difference, why ancient practices don't apply to the modern man. These are the voices of mediocrity, whispers from a part of you that prefers the comfort of weakness to the responsibility of strength. And it is at this precise moment on the journey that I want to extend a special invitation. If this message is resonating with your soul, if you feel there's a profound truth in these words, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Why? Because real transformation doesn't happen through a single revelation, but through a continuous process of refinement and evolution. In the coming videos, I will share specific techniques, advanced practices, and insights that I only discovered after years of study and personal experimentation. You will be embarking on a journey that will fundamentally change who you are, and I want to be by your side every step of this transformation. Subscribe now, not for me, but for you, for the extraordinary man you are destined to become. When you truly commit to the practice of retention and transmutation, something alchemic happens in your relationship with the world. You cease being a consumer of experiences and become a creator of reality. Your energy, once scattered in 1,000 different directions, becomes a focused laser beam capable of cutting through obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. The practice reveals a fundamental truth about masculine nature that modern society has forgotten. Man is at his deepest core a transformer of energy. He takes raw energy, be it physical, emotional, sexual, creative, and refines it into superior manifestations. When he constantly dissipates his sexual energy, he is wasting the most potent raw material of his personal alchemy. Ancient alchemists sought to transform base metals into gold, but true alchemy has always been internal, the transformation of ordinary consciousness into enlightened consciousness, of primal impulse into refined power, of raw sexual energy into personal magnetism and creative force. The laboratory is your own body and mind, and the gold you produce is a version of yourself that transcends limitations you once accepted as inevitable. During the first few weeks of practice, you may experience what seasoned practitioners call an energetic storm. It's as if a dormant volcano within you begins to awaken. You may feel restlessness, irritability, and unusual emotional intensity. Don't be alarmed. This is a sign that the energy is building up and seeking new avenues of expression. It's crucial to have healthy outlets for this energy: intense physical exercise, ambitious creative projects, deep meditation, breathwork practices. Retained sexual energy cannot simply be suppressed, it must be consciously redirected. Imagine a powerful river that has always flowed in a specific direction. When you build a dam, the water doesn't disappear, it accumulates, creating a reservoir of potential power. But this reservoir must have controlled outlets, channels through which the energy can flow productively. For some men, this energy manifests through bursts of artistic creativity. Musicians discover melodies that seemed impossible. Writers produce texts with a lyrical intensity that surprises them. Entrepreneurs have revolutionary insights that transform their businesses. For others, the energy expresses itself through extraordinary physical stamina, superhuman work capacity, magnetic charisma that opens previously closed professional doors. The transformation doesn't just happen on a personal level, it radiates to all aspects of your life. Your relationships become deeper and more authentic because you're no longer projecting unresolved sexual needs onto the people around you. Your career accelerates because you have the energy and focus to pursue goals that once seemed overly ambitious. Your health improves because your life force isn't being constantly drained. But perhaps the most significant transformation happens in your relationship with personal power. You discover that you've always had access to reservoirs of inner strength that you simply didn't know how to access. The feeling of being a victim of circumstances disappears, replaced by the unshakable certainty that you have the capacity to shape your reality through the conscious direction of your energy. This awakening of personal power often scares those around you who are used to the previous version of you, more passive, more scattered, more dependent on external validation. They may try to sabotage you, consciously or unconsciously, through provocations, temptations, or criticisms. It's a cosmic test of the solidity of your transformation. Semen retention also awakens aspects of masculinity that modern culture systematically suppresses. Not toxic masculinity based on domination or aggression, but sacred masculinity, the ability to protect and provide, to lead with wisdom, to maintain integrity under pressure, to be a solid rock in a world of uncertainty. It's the rediscovery of the inner king archetype, the spiritual warrior, the magician who transforms energy into manifestation. Many modern men have lost touch with these primordial archetypes, living as impoverished versions of themselves. The practice of retention acts as a catalyst that awakens these dormant energies, reconnecting you with aspects of your masculine nature that are simultaneously primal and transcendent. As you progress in the practice, you will begin to notice extraordinary synchronicities, events that seem to conspire to support your highest goals. Opportunities will appear as if magnetically drawn to your new energetic frequency. Influential people will cross your path at the precise moment you need them. Material resources will become available when you are ready for larger projects. This is not magic in the supernatural sense, but the natural manifestation of energetic principles that quantum physics is beginning to understand. When you raise your vibrational frequency through the conservation and transmutation of vital energy, you literally tune into possibilities that exist on more refined levels of reality. The journey, however, is not linear, nor always comfortable. There will be moments of intense doubt, periods where temptation will seem almost irresistible, phases where you will question whether the benefits justify the effort. These are the moments that separate the casual practitioners from the true energy transformers. It's crucial to understand that each moment of resistance to temptation is not merely self-control, it's an act of self-creation. You are literally sculpting a new version of your personality, forging new neural pathways, building willpower muscles that will strengthen with use. Every no to immediate gratification is a yes to the extraordinary person you are becoming. The practice will also reveal the fundamental difference between superficial pleasure and deep satisfaction. The pleasure of sexual release is intense but ephemeral, followed almost invariably by an energetic crash. The satisfaction of transmuted energy is more subtle but enduring, creating a state of fundamental contentment that doesn't depend on external stimuli. This discovery is revolutionary because most people spend their entire lives chasing ever more intense pleasure peaks to compensate for a basic lack of inner satisfaction. When you learn to generate satisfaction through the conservation and refinement of vital energy, you liberate yourself from this emotional roller coaster, finding an inner stability that no external experience can disturb. In the more advanced stages of the practice, you may begin to experience states of consciousness that have only been described by mystics and seasoned meditators, moments of crystal clear clarity where solutions to complex problems arise spontaneously, periods of creativity that seem channeled from a higher source, sensations of connection with a universal intelligence that transcends your individual mind. These states are not fantasies or self-delusions, they are natural manifestations of consciousness, operating on more refined levels when it's not being constantly drained by energetic dissipation. Great geniuses throughout history have frequently reported similar experiences, coinciding with periods of intense conservation of vital energy. The physical transformation also becomes increasingly evident. Your posture naturally improves, reflecting a newfound inner confidence. Your gaze becomes more penetrating and focused. Your voice acquires a resonant quality that people feel viscerally. There's an intensity to your presence that is simultaneously calm and magnetic. This transformed physical presence is not the result of learned techniques or constructed personas. It's the natural manifestation of concentrated vital energy expressing itself through the body. This is why great leaders throughout history, regardless of their field, frequently radiated this magnetic quality that transcended their words or physical appearance. As you approach longer periods of retention, weeks, months, you may begin to experience what spiritual traditions call the Kundalini awakening or serpent energy. It's a powerful force that lies dormant at the base of the spine until awakened by specific practices, including the conservation of sexual energy. When this energy awakens, it rises up the spine, activating energy centers chakras along the way. Each activation brings expanded capabilities, explosive creativity, sharpened intuition, magnetic charisma, extraordinary mental clarity, profound compassion, transcendent wisdom. It's literally the evolution of human consciousness happening in real time within you. But perhaps the most transformative aspect of the practice is the completely new relationship you develop with your own power. Most people live believing they are essentially powerless in the face of circumstances, that their strength is limited, that their dreams are too unrealistic to be seriously pursued. Semen retention demolishes these limiting beliefs through direct experience. When you feel concentrated vital energy coursing through your veins, when impossible projects begin to materialize, when your influence over situations and people expands dramatically, you can no longer pretend you are a helpless victim of life. You become aware that you are a powerful creator disguised as an ordinary person. This realization comes with proportionate responsibility. Real power demands spiritual maturity, wisdom in the use of influence, compassion for those who have not yet awakened to their own potential. You become a guardian of sacred energy, responsible for using it in ways that elevate both your own existence and the world around you. The journey of sexual transmutation is, ultimately, a journey back to your true self, not the self conditioned by social expectations, unconscious fears or compulsive patterns, but the essential self that has always existed beneath these layers of programming. It's the self that dreamed grand dreams as a child, before learning that it was realistic to lower expectations. When you conserve and refine your sexual energy, you're literally fueling this authentic essence, giving it the power to manifest visions that seemed fantastical when you were operating with scattered energy. Dreams that were buried under years of conformity resurface with renewed vigor, now supported by enough concentrated energy to transform them into reality. This practice also reveals a fundamental truth about the nature of human desire. Every desire at its deepest core is a yearning for transcendence, for union with something greater than our limited experience of individuality. Sexual desire is simply one of the most intense manifestations of this primal hunger for transcendence. When you learn to recognize this spiritual hunger disguised as a physical urge, you can begin to feed it directly through practices that generate states of expanded consciousness, deep meditation, contemplation of nature, artistic creation, compassionate service. The sexual urge doesn't disappear, it's elevated and refined into subtler forms of ecstasy. As you progress on this alchemic journey, you'll realize you're not just changing habits or developing discipline, you're participating in a millennia-old process of human consciousness evolution. Every man who consciously transmutes sexual energy contributes to a morphogenetic field that makes it easier for other men to awaken to the same possibility. You become part of an invisible lineage of energy transformers that includes ancient sages, medieval mystics, Renaissance geniuses, modern visionaries. They all discovered the same secret. Sexual energy is the raw material of spiritual transformation, and its conscious conservation is the first step to awakening latent powers of human consciousness. The culmination of this journey isn't a final destination, but the beginning of a new phase of existence, where you consistently operate from elevated levels of energy and awareness. You become someone who naturally inspires others through their presence, who solves complex problems through intuitive insight, who manifests ambitious goals through concentrated willpower. But perhaps more important than any external achievement is the quality of inner peace and profound satisfaction that emerges when you cease being a slave to unconscious impulses and become the master of your own energy. This is true freedom, not the license to do whatever comes to mind, but the power to consciously choose how to direct your life force. This is the true measure of a man, not how many pleasures he can consume, but how much energy he can conserve and consciously transmute into elevated manifestations of human potential. When you master your sexual energy, you're not becoming less human, you're becoming more divine, awakening aspects of your nature that remained dormant while you dissipated your vital essence in fleeting gratifications. The call is before you now. You can continue living like most men, scattering precious energy in pursuit of ephemeral pleasures, operating at a fraction of your true power, accepting a diminished version of yourself as normal. Or you can embark on this alchemic journey of conscious transformation, rediscovering reservoirs of inner strength that have always been available, awaiting only your decision to access them. The choice is yours, but know that every moment you postpone this transformation is a moment in which your vital energy continues to be wasted, in which your highest dreams remain without the fuel necessary for their manifestation, in which you deny yourself the experience of your own greatness. Life is too precious, and your potential too vast to be wasted in complacent mediocrity. Awaken the alchemist within, become the master of your own energy, allow concentrated life force to awaken the dormant powers within your soul. The world is waiting for your unique contribution, but only you can provide the refined energy needed to bring it into manifestation. The moment is now. The journey begins with a single conscious decision to stop wasting your vital essence and begin transforming it into the gold of extraordinary achievement.